Welcome back to episode 3 of the Family Flex podcast. My name is Solomon Wilkins, and I'm here with my wife, Martha Wilkins.
Hello, everyone. So today's our topic is why kids need sports more than ever, and this is a great topic. One, personally, because I just feel that sports plays a huge role in how kids develop, and plus, just our family being a sports family and just super active, and we advocate for our kids to be in these positions. So I think it's a great topic. So personally, one of my favorites, but we'll dive into it a little bit more of the whys and hows.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to have a conversation because kids just need to get outside more, right? We're going to talk specifically about sports and the role sports play in the psychology of kids, how kids show up and progress to be successful adults. But more important than that, while they're kids, it's really just about how do we get these kids outside playing and being active, socializing, engaging like we used to when we were kids. Because some of my best memories, I was outside.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so different now because when we were younger, there was no phones, tablets. I think I had a computer, maybe
Yeah.
played what's that game? Oregon Trail. Back in the day, but like I wanted to be outside. Like you couldn't get me to come in. Like we were
Exactly.
outside racing in the street, playing
Hello.
dodgeball, kickball, whatever sport we can get our hands on. I used to live by Candlestick in San Francisco, so we would like climb up the mountains and or these dirt hills and just rain. It'd be cold.
Yeah.
Like we didn't get cold even
Never
like
talked about being cold.
right back in the day. Now these kids can't even get them to like go outside for 15 minutes. I
It's
mean,
too
kids in
hot.
general. Like I don't think our kids will sometimes, but um, yeah, it's just different.
But I think it's important for kids to play sports because like there's a difference between having your kid go outside and play and then actually putting your kid on a competitive or recreational sports team,
Hmm.
right? And the difference is significant, right? Because we know the value of going outside, right? We're going to dive into that. But when you think about putting a kid on a team where they're playing sports and they get to interact with other kids in a structured environment where they're learning from a leader, they're understanding, how to take orders per se, right? Some I know that we live in a society where everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, but the reality is sports does more for kids than almost anything.
Absolutely, and really sets them up for success for the rest of their life. Basically, when you look at it, just what sports brings and what it allows you to do as you develop in early adolescence and early adulthood, like those habits are formed through sports,
Yeah.
right? And through the discipline that comes with training, eating well, taking care of your body.
Hello.
Like those are things that are embedded in you as you grow older, they just become part of your everyday life, which
Yeah.
is amazing, right? Because you don't really have to do the work later in your life.
Did you grow up playing sports as a kid?
Of course, yeah. I feel like that's why we have a lot in common because I know you did as well. I played basketball in high school, ran track in high school, and 2 years in college. So I personally can tell you like the benefit. And me working out and being active didn't just come out of nowhere. So
Yeah.
when you look back, it's like, oh yeah, no wonder I'm so disciplined in pretty much everything I do, and it really transpires across everything you do in your life
Yeah. That's
because
great.
of the level of discipline that it requires to be an athlete, right? Um, Playing basketball, you go to class all day and then you practice after school. Like who if you don't have that level of discipline, you're just gonna be lazy. I'm not saying I'm sorry.
Don't be
that,
sorry you spitting facts.
no, this is just sound bad because there's not everybody that played a sport. That if you didn't play a sport, that doesn't mean you're lazy. It just means that I think that requires a different level of discipline. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sports requires a different level of discipline, right?
absolutely.
And I'm glad you said what you said, right? Like we live in a society now where you can't tell people the truth. right? Like
Mhm.
you apologize because you were like, oh my God, I don't want to offend someone.
No, it's just more so like I understand that if you don't play a sport and you weren't an athlete, that doesn't mean you're not like driven
Yeah,
or right
100%,
because there are some people that they are disciplined and have never played a sport.
100%,
So it's not a end all be all, you know.
totally.
Yeah.
But the benefits of sports permeates, to your point earlier, every aspect of your life. You think about sports helps kids become more disciplined. It helps them become more resilient. It helps them fight through adversity. It teaches them communication skills. It teaches them leadership skills. And everybody that I know that played sports at a high level when we were young, they are now successful adults. Well, I can't say everybody, but a very high percentage, right?
Mhm.
And the reason that is because we talk about the lessons we learned as young people. When I was at Oakland Tech, and then I went to Merritt Community College, and I played Division II basketball at Humboldt State University. But like those lessons in life taught me a lot about how I show up in the world today, right? Like
Mhm.
99.9% of my friends that I have in my real life are from basketball. I'm not going to go through the names,
Right.
but most
Right.
of the friends I hang out with through sports,
Mhm.
they're all still physically fit. They're all doing well in whatever career path they've chose, right? They're good, upstanding people. So sports isn't just about, hey, we're trying to get a trophy and we're trying to win. That stuff is important, but it's the lessons that kids learn that teaches them how to become successful humans in the world.
Absolutely. And I think I remember like some of my most valuable lessons occurred as an athlete playing a sport, like your first loss or your first bad game, right? And then you learn how to deal with a little bit of adversity, right?
Yeah,
Because you're not going to always win at everything. You're not going to always be good at everything. But learning that and feeling that is like, okay, I can, I can grow. I have room to develop. And it just really teaches resilience. And
yeah,
so I think a lot of the bigger lessons in your life come from your first initial encounter of taking a couple L's when you're younger,
hello,
and you learn to just roll with the punches, and
yeah,
you be like, oh, that's just another L. Like, I'll take that and learn from it and grow. And you don't, subconsciously, you don't really think that it's really developing you. Then later in life, you're like, this is nothing. This is like water off a duck's back because you've gone through it.
man. Just listening to you talk, nah, you get it, right? That's why we're so in tune with each other because you really understand what it takes to like be a successful human in the world. And it's not about like sports is also about doing hard things,
Hmm.
right? And how can you get yourself to a place mentally where you can push through the pain for this hour, for this 2 hours, for this short amount of time
Right.
to prove to yourself that you could do it. Most
Hmm.
people aren't willing to do that. And the CDC has a report that says 1 in 5 children currently today, that's between the ages of 2 and 19, are considered obese.
Right. And 5 times more likely to be obese as adults. That like let that sink in. 5 times more likely to become an obese adult, which is about 75% of the population. I think off top, I read that somewhere. I can go back and look at the research, but that's critical, especially nowadays with our food not being great, all the processed stuff in our diets, kids moving less, kids not eating the right foods, kids not being disciplined enough to combat all of that. So it's just like a disaster. And yeah, it's kind of disheartening to, as a person that works in medicine as a PA, and I advocate for like movement every single day with my patients. And it's like a huge component of their chronic pain, right? And so if you can find a way to like prevent that, like way ahead, like way even before you become an adult, like we got the recipe. Like as a kid,
It's the
all you
recipe.
literally got to do is move. Like you literally just have to take your ass outside and go move, go walk, go run for 30 minutes. It used to be like a natural thing. And now kids these days, you have to like drag them out the house, go play or go. They don't even like playing. They're like and Melly and Solo have even said this. Go outside, and they'll be like, to do what? Like, what you mean? Like, what? Go outside to
To
do
do
what? I
what?
could have found a million things to go do.
Hello.
Like, I had imagination, I had friends. Like, we'd
Come
just
on.
go find some stuff to do
Yeah.
and just be moving and being active for hours, and then come back home and eat dinner and go to bed and go to school. Like, and so I think they're starting to understand now, like, what it is to not only be an athlete, but more so just to be a human that is like, that enjoys movement. Like,
Yeah.
it
Enjoys it.
feels weird to like sit down and be on a computer for me for like hours and hours. Like, I get antsy, I have to get up, I have to like stretch, I got to move my legs. So for kids, I feel like that's like a natural, and at some point we lose that, because like, look at Roman, he's super active, he's 2 years old, that boy cannot stop
Oh
moving.
my God.
That's all he
That's
does.
crazy.
And so you have to look at like what happens between when they're like really young, is like toddlers, and that's all they do, to like an adolescent or teenager, and they just stop moving.
Wow.
Like, what it's the societal, norms and
Norms.
the standards about, the social media, video games,
Mm, mm, mm.
iPads, tablets, all the screen time, right? And also just like taking away PE in school and like movement, like that's, I don't know. I could go on and on, but you get it.
I read a study the other day that said, on average, teenagers spend and young people, they spend 7 hours a day on their electronics.
That's crazy.
7 hours a day,
that's
right?
that's insane.
And so
My eyes were
you said,
my eyes would be bleeding.
regular sports participation. Regular sports participation is one of the strongest predictors of lifelong physical activity.
Mm,
That's essentially saying, if you put your kids in sports, if you put your kids in a position to be active, and you keep them in that sport,
mm-hmm.
you keep them being active. And one of the biggest challenges is sometimes parents put their kids in a sport, and a kid will say, "Oh, I don't like this sport," and a
Mm-hmm.
parent will take them out,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Or they're
Because
not good.
or they're not good, right? Because we live in a microwave society, and kids
Insta.
want things instantly. They want it right away. They don't want to work for it. They don't want to put in the
They just
time.
want to be good.
And parents don't want their kids to be uncomfortable. And because parents don't want their kids to be
Mm.
uncomfortable, anytime something gets hard for the kid, the parents like, "Oh my God, I don't want them to.
Right. I don't want them to
I don't want them to
struggle.
struggle. I don't want them to
The,
have to go through any."
their self-esteem is
Yeah.
actually, you're doing quite the opposite. It's actually going to build up, because they're not good like right away and naturally talented. They have to work. I was an athlete that I wasn't naturally good at basketball or track. Like, I had to work
Mm.
to like get, you know, to be decent, but I enjoyed that
Talk
process.
about what that looked like. That work.
No one cares. No, I played basketball. I played varsity for my freshman year,
It's a big
and
deal.
I actually got defensive player of the year
Hello.
freshman freshman year.
Hello.
So although I wasn't that great offensively, like defensively, I was a hustler.
Yeah.
I had everybody locked up, and I took pride in that. Right. So there's certain,
I love it.
you know, you find that you're not necessarily good at one part, but you're good at another part, and that's what really is the developmental process, is to help you find something that you can excel in. And it's not even from like a point standpoint, like perspective, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you're the highest scorer or whatever. Like, one, the discipline, structure, and the routine that we'll talk about that's established as an athlete is like the most important thing, in
100%.
in my opinion. So, you know, we can talk about, like all of, I think we kind of touched on a little bit about the discipline aspect. Like, to me, that's like the biggest part, because of how we live as a society. Like, there is no one that keeps these kids accountable,
Mm, mm,
that
mm.
tells them like, you need some discipline. Like, you're going to need discipline throughout your whole life. If you get a job, you're going to need discipline to make sure you're on time, to make sure you show up for work. Like, when you're an athlete, when you're a student athlete, or just in general, you have to be disciplined to wake up and train and practice even when you don't want to. And let's take sports out of the equation. Let's just talk about everyday life. Like, you have to exercise and move your body even when you don't want to. And so just being an athlete to me is like a bonus because you get to do that and you get to do it with a sport that you actually love and that you enjoy and you have fun playing. It's a win-win.
Everything you said is just I'm over here smiling because when I think about like practice schedules, drills,
Structure.
structure, right, showing up on time, and for those that don't know, I coach my daughter Carmela's flag football team, and I
Hmm.
coach my son Solomon's flag football team. Carmela's team, we just had a game yesterday, right, and to watch those girls, just like all the work that we've done over these past couple weeks. To
Hmm.
give y'all some backstory, we're 0-2, and then we just won our first game. Um, but I got a team of girls who don't have the most talent, but they're some hard workers, right? But just to watch Carmela's face and her teammates' face when they do something that we practiced and they execute it flawlessly, and the results are in their favor, right? Um, Sports teaches all this stuff.
Hmm. And just from being at home, from a home perspective and raising kids, I think it's just easier. Like for this to be built into their schedules because it kind of takes out like us having to like really force them to do stuff. Like the structure starts at home and we talk about like parents, if you want structure in your household, put your kid in a sport and literally watch them transform like how they operate on a day-to-day basis. Like I am witnessing Mela literally right now go from kind of just being like, yeah, she's good at at her sport, in school and kind of disciplined doing her work. But now she's like she wants it. She comes home. She's like, my schedule is Mondays flag football, Tuesdays softball, Wednesdays I'm strength training with my mom or my dad and doing drills on the field. Thursday flag football. I'm sorry, softball practice. Flag football on Friday game, softball on Saturday, flag football on Sunday. Like I know some parents might think of that like, damn, that's too much for your kid, but she wants it. So
She wants it.
we just encouraging her to be the little star that she is, and I think that having that structure at home really transcends in all aspects of your life of their lives because now she's a 4.0 student,
Hello.
right? So she's like it just naturally happens. Like
It's
if I'm
amazing.
going to commit to this and be this focused, then I'm going to do that with my classwork too. I'm going to do that with my Bible study. Like so I'm seeing Mela
She is amazing.
just really developing into this like beautiful, wonderful little human that she's so mature and she does her own thing and she has a routine and like even with her eating. So
Man, that
it's
makes me
just
emotional.
cool to like witness that from just planting her into a sport that she wasn't necessarily good at in the beginning,
And
right?
she didn't want to do.
It,
Let's talk
right.
about that.
So when you talk about kids don't want to do stuff that they're not good at, Mela was trash at flag football. Her last softball season, I don't know what happened, but she was just standing at the plate, striking out every time she got up to bat. And we're like, what happened? And
But the
I,
season before that, she had a good season.
right.
And then she had a season where it was not a great season. But I want to correct you on one thing. You said when she started flag football, she was trash. And that wasn't true.
No,
When she
softball.
started softball,
Yeah,
she was
that's what I
trash.
meant, softball.
Flag football, she won a championship her very first season and carried that Chargers team.
Right. So she has a little bit of both. So she is in a sport that she was already naturally good at and also in a sport that she wasn't good at, but
Yes.
she prevailed in both. And she's like an amazing dual athlete now. So that just speaks volume to like how, when kids aren't really good at something, she just worked and worked and worked towards it. And now she's actually like really good. Um, so let's talk about switch gears here. Let's talk about leadership, communication, and confidence because I think confidence is like one of the bigger pieces for me just watching like our kids
Yeah.
personally,
Yeah.
but for kids in general, like the confidence piece is so critical, with how kids show up. And it's just a critical piece to like their self identity.
Yeah. And speaking of confidence, I want to share a personal story and I want to share this letter. and I told her I was going to do it just so you guys know. But Carmela wrote me a letter for Christmas. This was her Christmas gift to me. It's one of the best Christmas gifts I've ever received in my life. And speaking of confidence in your kids, she says, "Daddy, and forgive me if I don't make it through this." She said, "Daddy, thank you for everything you do. You have helped me gain more confidence throughout the year, not just as a person, but in sports too. You use your time to train with me, teach me new things, and make me a better person. Thank you for helping me pursue my dreams and get better day by day.
Aw.
Merry Christmas, Daddy." And then she said, which she always ends with a Bible scripture, Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
Amen.
How would you feel if your kids sent you this letter? Right. So when we talk about sports,
Well, she didn't write me that. But I know because you play a critical role in like their training. Like you are the one that put them in all these sports. Like you advocated and fought for them to do stuff that they didn't even want to do, and now look. So thank you.
yeah, and I'm their coach, right? Like
Right.
in the football, I'm their coach, so I get to be out there with them, helping them develop, helping them
Mhm.
grow, pushing them, challenging them, and that's why I'm so hard on Mela and Salo because it's like the game that Mela had yesterday, right? Like that's the game I see for
She
her every
balled out.
game,
Yeah.
right? But sometimes if her teammates aren't doing what they're supposed to do, she plays down to the level of her peers or her competition versus staying in that leadership role the whole time, which is great because she's young. She's 14. I don't expect her to have it all figured out. It's all about her just being on her individual journey and continuing to learn and grow into who she is as a young woman.
Yeah. And I love that you're hard on them because, like you mentioned earlier, like one, the kids are soft these days because they don't
Super
want to do
soft.
anything, but the parents, we be soft too because we're like, oh, they don't want to do it. It's too hard, or I don't. She's not that good, or she's crying, and you be like, man, forget that. Like, so learning to fight through hard things is a direct, cause of their confidence being elevated from that because you see, like Mela, for example, one game she threw a pick, or they picked it and she was just like walking off. You're like, all right, forget that. Next play, like focus,
Yeah.
And so
Put it
it helped
behind you.
her like really flip a switch. And then I think so in that moment, she learned it's just a small little part of the story. And this is just helping her develop
Hmm.
character
Yeah.
to be better later.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
just being, teaching them how to lose, how to reset, try again, get knocked down, get back up. That's life.
That's life.
Hmm.
And as you get older, you really start understanding that
Well, yeah.
because
And so you put here research published in the Journal of Adolescent Health shows kids in sports have a higher resilience and lower rates of anxiety and depression.
mm, say that again.
I'll read it. Research published in the Journal of Adolescent Health shows kids in sports have higher resilience and lower rates of anxiety and depression. And with anxiety and depression like through the roof now, kids as early as 5, 6, 7 years old talking about they got anxiety, which might be true, right? Because this world is a little crazy,
Because they have more access to information than ever before. So based on what the information is that they're consuming, they're
right?
going to have more anxiety. So
And
this,
that's another topic that we'll talk about,
yeah.
protecting your kids.
All
And
right,
not
cool.
not to belabor the point, right? But it's like adults who play sports as kids are more likely to be active and stay active into their adulthood. And then you just kind of continue that cycle, right? So if you are if you were a kid that kind of grew up sedentary, meaning you didn't do a lot of movement, or you're a little overweight, obese, and you found a way to change your life and start movement, because one, it's never too late, but also you're literally changing what we call epigenetics, which
Mm,
is like the genetic makeup. So if you carried a gene from your family that is, you came from an obese family and you worked hard and exercised and changed your life, and then you had a kid, you already changed that gene expression in your kid by just changing your health habits and your lifestyle. So now that kid is born, that is less likely to be obese, right? And then boom, now their kids are more fit, more healthy, and you literally just change the trajectory of your health for your kids and their kids. Isn't that crazy?
Hey, that is amazing because now for me, I feel like, and I knew about epigenetics through you, but I learned so much from you in these conversations because when I think about it, my mom was obese, right? My mom was 5'2", and at her highest weight, she was over 300 pounds,
Mm.
right? When she used to come to basketball
Damn.
games,
No.
she was when she used to come to my basketball games in high school, she was the loudest one in the crowd, and she was really obese, right? And I was really embarrassed,
Mm.
and that was a part of the reason that I've been fit for so long, right? And she passed away of
So
obesity, right?
it was more out of fear that you were gonna be.
And now I can look back on it and really understand why. But in the
Mm.
time, I just was an athlete. I was always playing basketball. I was naturally fit. But my point in the story is now I got married to a woman who's fit, and now we have a bunch of fit kids, right? When you talk about epigenetics, right? Like if
And they
trust
just
me, if
keep
I
getting like more like
and they
Roman
just
is
get like Roman is just ridiculous, right? They keep
he
getting
just
more
came
fit.
out buff.
It's crazy. But I'm
Yeah.
saying if I didn't do the work, I could be obese very easily.
Me too. I
Yes,
don't
right?
have like a very fast metabolism. Like I was always naturally just like thick and like I was never
Yes,
skinny,
you
never slim.
are.
So I had to work to like keep, you know, keep in shape,
Yeah,
keep myself in shape, but also like even after kids, like I could see how hard it can be to like have that weight just kind of stick around and then like every kid it just kind of compiles and then next thing you know, boom, I'm 250.
yeah,
And so I understand that it is a struggle, especially if you come from a family that has not always had the healthiest habits. And
yeah,
let's just be honest, like black people, just with our genetic makeup and our, history, we're just more predisposed to hypertension, diabetes, obese lifestyles. And so we have to like really combat that and like fight against that. We like already have that against us. And then on top of that, we, don't even have, some of the means to like move and do these things. So it really takes a lot of effort independently and as a family unit to like really get together and say like, hey, we're going to change our life. We're going to change our
yeah,
lifestyle. And that's why
yeah,
circling back to sports, if you're able to, I think it's just an easy way to get your kids to get to fit into this mold of this lifestyle that you want to achieve,
yeah,
right? It doesn't have to be too complicated, right? It's just like find a sport, like ask your kids like what do they like what interests them. And some kids will be like, I don't like sports, or I don't like, or they don't think they're good at anything, right? But like give it a try soccer, try basketball,
Oh my
flag
God.
football, whatever sticks. If they like it and they're not that good, you already won because they like it. So they're just going to keep showing up and the work will do itself.
And it's really important for parents to challenge their kids when it comes to sports. A lot of times, parents want it to be easy on kids, right?
Hmm.
Oh, this sport is too hard. They're sweating. They're making them run. My kid is very uncomfortable. I'm just going to take them out, right? The kid is not having a good time because the coach is challenging them.
Nope, you don't take them out. You put them in a second sport. Make them do two when they really hate you.
Yeah, so I want to say like it's less about the talent and more about the participation, right?
Yeah.
Like, and when I say participation, I mean getting your kids out there and getting them active and ensuring that they're giving 100% effort. And if it's not basketball, baseball, football, tennis, wrestling, it could be
Swimming,
swimming, it could be volleyball, it could be
cheer,
cheer, it could be water polo, it could be karate, it could be tai chi,
jujitsu. Yep.
right? There's so many environments that you can put kids in that can give them challenges that'll help them when they become adults. And
But
that's
what?
really what this thing is all about. How do
Yeah.
you put your kids in sports and challenge them in ways that's going to allow them to be great humans? The world needs more good humans.
Hmm. And sometimes we understand that sports and being in these rec leagues and travel ball teams, they could be expensive.
Good point.
So, I understand that not everyone has the means to put their kids in on a travel ball team
Yep.
and pay for all these tournaments and stuff. And I remember not having that either, but raising money, doing fundraisers and stuff so that we could go on track meets and do stuff. So, you know, i- when it comes down to it, like if your kid is not able to get into like an organized sport, there's always a sport at their school that they can participate in.
Mm.
If they're attending a school, they have a
Hello.
sport that they can participate in as early as elementary school,
Hello.
middle school, and then when they get to high school, right, there's a different level. But by then, hopefully, they'll already be established and really want to pursue that sport. So yeah, in the grand scheme of things, it's more about just I think the bottom line is about movement, right? And I'm a huge proponent of lifestyle. Y'all hear me talk about it all the time. Exercise, just get your kids moving, get them do it together. Like if you're struggling to like find a balance between work and trying to get your exercise in, kill two birds with one stone and do it
Hello.
together,
Do it
right?
together.
Like, oh, we're all going on this walk. We're
I was
get off that tablet, get off that iPad. Let's go on a 30-minute walk. One, you're building your, bonding with your family. You're getting time away from the screens.
Yeah.
You're actually moving.
Ooh.
You're like,
Hello.
getting your exercise in, you're getting your steps in. Your kids are too. The mental health component. I literally just read something um, that I saw when I was scrolling, and it just talks about the psychological reboot that you get from exercise, and it literally
Mm.
is has the same effects as therapy on treating like anxiety and depression. Like
Mm.
that's huge.
Huge.
And parents are struggling with this too, kids are struggling with it. Like it's a win-win. So
Yeah.
not to belabor the point, right, but just really putting some emphasis on the fact that movement is the key. And it's just to me a bonus, like if you put your kid in a sport, because then they get all the other things that come with it: the discipline, the structure, the confidence building, the resilience, the teamwork, the leadership. The list goes on.
The list goes on.
So parents, we want to give you a little bit of homework, right? So in this episode, we were talking about just really getting your kids to participate in sports. So if you're not sure of where to start, or like how to even start that conversation with your kid, like just bring it up. Like, hey, what do you really enjoy doing? Like, as far as movement goes, if you could play a sport, what would you play? And see what your kid says and see, what answers they come up with. And you kind of work together to find something that they like. And if they don't, sometimes you just got to make a decision as a parent and be like, this is what you're going to do.
And that's a really great call because there are times when I see it as a coach when I deal with so many kids in the community. I'm an old school coach. Parents either love me or they don't. But as a parent, when you put your kid in a sport, it's up to you to understand sports well enough to say this is the sport that you should be playing. And if you don't, I would highly recommend that you consult with somebody that you know, family member, friend, who played sports before, and just ask them, hey, based on what you know about my kid, what sport do you think they should or could play? Because Carmela is in flag football as a quarterback, and she is in softball because based on her body type and me understanding sports, I knew she would excel in these sports.
Mm-hmm.
She's not playing basketball for a reason, right? She's 5'3". She
No handles.
right. So, but as a parent, I knew what to put her in, right, and she excelled. It's just like Solomon.
But if we're being fair, like we talked about, put your kid in something and see how they do. Like I wouldn't be opposed to putting her in basketball and seeing how she does. Like but that she's not going to be good. But that's goes against what we're saying. Like we're not saying that they have to be good at it. They just have to try it.
Yeah,
So
but you
that's
don't have to try everything
right. So that is the homework that we're giving to parents: is discuss this with your kids,
for sure.
put them in something that one that you think they would like or that you think
For
they
sure,
would
they should like it first.
excel
For
in.
sure.
Yeah, and then go from there. It doesn't have to be that hard. So and it's not about raising athletes, right? It's about introducing your kids to a sport or a lifestyle that will hopefully stick with them throughout their growth and when they become adults.
It is about raising athletes for me. She could say that.
We
But for
want to
me,
win.
we raising athletes. We trying to go D1 for everybody.
Right.
Hey, we appreciate y'all spending time with us today. We hope y'all enjoyed the conversation. As usual, subscribe to the YouTube channel, join our school community. We're looking forward to having more of these conversations on the Family Flex podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Until then, peace.
Peace.